So I think, Biodun, I think you're informed in some of these things, right? Uh, we had a case whereby yeah, no problem. Right. So we had a case whereby like a recent protest in Kenya, whereby we had the people virtually, like most of the young people in Kenya, Gen Z, they came out to protest against the government because the government was trying to, carry out a finance bill that kind of increased taxes, right, against the people or towards the people rather. And then the people came out to say that no, we don't want this bill, refuse it. They were telling their elected representatives that we don't want this bill and all of that. But elected representatives still went ahead to pass the bill, and that's what caused the protest. And if you ask the elected representatives, like, okay, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you act against the will of the people? They were like, Kenya has been in massive debt, right? And then for them to be able to keep getting sustainable loans from the IMF and some of the other countries or organizations that they borrow from, they had to, carry out some policy implementations. And that included like increasing taxes, right? So that they could convince their borrowers or the lenders that they will be capable of paying back these loans. Yeah. Right. So there's that juxtaposition between the reality of the government and the people of Kenya. So what do you think is the will of people always correct? Like in this particular situation, how do we approach it as a people?
Well, you're right because the will of the people will not always be correct, and that's because a lot of the people have limited information about the decisions that need to be made. And before we even go far and discuss about is will of the people always correct, let's talk about the will of the people. What is the will of the people? And can all the people have the same will? So if everyone cannot have the same will, can we say that to a very large extent we are the will of the people in general is being represented?
Yeah,
And when we are currently talking about the situation at Kenya now, and Kenya is a country right now in debt and in serious economic problems. If the people are saying that this would have possibly been a reality, then maybe they might not have done the protest that way. And one other thing was that the government was not being compassionate, and a lot of new buildings were being renovated for the government, and the people who needed to live a better life felt like they were being exploited.
At the end of the day, I think it was a lose-lose situation. What reflected, yes, was the will of the people. But I think it already got to a point where the people were in such a situation where they either had to face more hardship or protest. Like, you couldn't keep seeing your leaders that just a few years ago, I think in 2022, were promising that, oh, we're going to improve the economy and make the everyday life for the basic everyday life
individuals,
for the normal for the
people,
common individuals and the Kenyan people. You are going to, release or relieve the pressure
plants,
on them, and then you are hearing corruption cases and
over and over
cases
again.
over and over again,
Yeah.
seeing some of the people close to government, hearing that, oh, they were lavishing somewhere in Dubai or whatever. So these were things that were getting people incensed. The cost of governance kept on going up,
Yeah.
and the government kept on getting bloated. And then when President Ruto of Kenya came in, he removed subsidy. That was one of the things he did. So they were expecting that, okay, in 2 years' time, we're going to be seeing at least
Effect.
some
Yeah.
effects of the subsidy, because they endured with him. He was kind of popular. He was an establishment guy, but he was
Yeah.
kind of popular. He still resonated with young people. But when after 2 years they started seeing the same things that they voted
Against.
against, it got really tiring. So they just had to protest. It was like,
So
you
okay.
can't force me to.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't force me. I'll be done soon. You can't force me to, go through all these austerity measures while you are lavishing, basically. So, and at the end of the day too, another thing comes from the IMF structure. The way they loan you money, and the way you are forced to pay the loans, the way the loans come, the kind of measures you have to take. You literally have to put your citizens in like real economic, like in real tough economic situations. So at the end of the day, by the time the loan comes or whatever, it's usually a lose-lose situation.